Well, I'm back again. I want to talk to you about the experience. Everybody, whether no matter how old you are, you could be 80 years old, 60 years old, 40 years old, 20 years old, 10 years old, 5 years old, but you were born. And as a result of that, the experiences that you have as growing up become part of your life that you never forget. And we've just come through different things about the famous games, the big famous football games that happen at the beginning of every year and so forth. I just wanted to talk today about one of the experiences of my life that will sound really funny to all of you. And that is when I was pretty young, probably 8, 9, 10 years old, and my dad would take me to this football game. So guess how much we had to pay? We had to pay 15 cents to get in the door. Can you imagine that? And I know people just recently that went to football games that cost hundreds of dollars to get in the door, to get a seat. But I paid 15 cents when I was that age. And my dad was a pastor, so he liked to go to those kinds of things because there was a sociological value to it. And I should say something about that. I don't know how you do your socializing, but it is actually quite important that you actually talk to people that are in different trades and different occupations. And I found myself, as I have grown up through the years, there's hardly anybody that I ever meet that I don't ask, what kind of work do you do? And I don't do that out of just ignorance. I'm wanting to find out what they do because I'm curious. For example, not very long ago, I ran into a gentleman in a business situation, and I asked him, I said, and what kind of work do you do? And he said, I'm a pediatrician. And then he started telling me just all about his life and how happy he was that he was able to work with little children every single day in his work. And I've met other people. I've met a man that he owned a junkyard. And when I met him, I used to talk to him, and he would once in a while call me up and say, come on down to my office. So I go down to his office, and there was motors and car parts and everything laying around. But he just loved to talk about, oh, I remember I got this car in, and oh, I remember this car, this old truck, and so forth and so forth and so forth. So my point of this little conversation and clip that we're having is, I want you to think about the value of getting to know different people that do different things. And I have told my grandchildren that the important thing is to find something that really interests you. I mean something either in a hobby or something in a skill that you're really good at. And then what you do is that you become an expert in that. Learn all you can about it. I'll tell you a real quick story and we're all done with this for today. When we lived in Arizona, I owned a ranch called the Cricket Ranch. And my wife wanted to get some pygmy goats. You all know what pygmy goats are, little tiny goats. Some of them are Norwegian dog goats and so forth that are specialized, but just regular pygmy goats. And so I went and I bought her some, and the people told me that the goats were rare and that they were all papered, like paper dogs and cats have, papers to tell about their lineage and so forth. Well, I found out that those goats were basically cults. They were worthless as far as valued in dollars. So what I did was, I became a total expert on pygmy goats. I learned everything I could. There are pygmy goats in Israel. There are pygmy goats in Romania. There are pygmy goats in Japan. They're all different. Pygmy goats in Norway. Pygmy goats in the United States. And I learned everything I could about pygmy goats. And then I wrote a little booklet called Pygmy Goats for Fun and Profit. And and I taught people how to raise pygmy goats. So you buy 2 does, or you had raised 2 does with 1 little buck, and then you're going to have baby goats, and then you sell them, so you make some profit. So that's how that all works, and the importance of becoming an expert. That's the point I want to bring across to you. Become an expert in something. You're the best. When people want to know something about it, they come to you. Talk to you again soon.